Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is asking Parliament to grant him immunity from corruption charges. The move will likely delay a trial until after the upcoming elections. He made the announcement today in a nationally televised address.
כדי לממש את זכותי, חובתי ושליחותי.
Israelis go to the polls in March, and if Netanyahu wins a majority coalition, he will seek to pass a law protecting him from prosecution while he's in office. He failed to win a majority in back-to-back elections last year. In November, he was indicted on charges of accepting bribes, fraud, and breach of trust. He says he is the victim of a conspiracy. For more on this, we're joined by freelance journalist Iris Mackler in Jerusalem. Iris, was Netanyahu's announcement today a surprise?
You know, it was a surprise for some Israelis because prior to the second election, going back through the elections now, he denied that he would be applying for this immunity if he were charged. But, you know, canny political watchers or more cynical political watchers were counting down the hours. He had a deadline of a month. He had 4 hours left. And just before that, you know, midnight tonight, local time is his deadline. And if he hadn't applied for immunity from the Parliament, then tomorrow morning he would be charged with those charges. So in a way, this pushes that right back, and it might even push it back past the election, because immunity is not automatic. The Parliament has to grant it. And now there's a fight going on about whether the Parliament should sit to grant it. This is a caretaker Parliament. Is it appropriate? Should the committee sit? So there's all that going on with the aim, I think, of delaying it at least until the next Parliament. The elections in March, the Parliament may not be formed till May or June. So with all that in mind, I think it's been a surprise to some, but not to the more canny political watchers. But part of the reason that Benjamin Netanyahu went on air live during the news was to explain to the Israeli public why this about-face.
You've mentioned that Israelis have already been through a couple of elections. How are people feeling about this prospect of Netanyahu being granted immunity?
There are polls, actually, because this question has been put to the public, and it's quite interesting that even amongst Netanyahu's supporters, there is a kind of a feeling that they don't like it. Something like 56 or 57% of people polled say they don't think he should be asking for the immunity from prosecution. And we heard from the leader of the main opposition party tonight, that's the Blue and White Party, his name is Benny Gantz, and he said if you're innocent, you don't ask for immunity, you go to court and you fight your corner and you prove your innocence. So that's a bit of the feeling in the Israeli public. I think the Israeli public is quite sick of its politicians. This third election in the space of a year is unprecedented. And I think they blame the politicians for not being able to get together. I don't think they want to vote for a third time. That's my impression from the people I've spoken to. So I think there's a kind of a feeling in the Israeli public that they're sick of their politicians and they wish all this would stop.
That was freelance journalist Iris Mackler in Jerusalem.